straight into it. Pat Shortt, how are you keeping? Are you well?
I'm great, Tom. Thank you very much.
My missus was saying to me as I was going up the stairs to the office, the corner, the fucking upstairs room. You know, we've all invented an office nowadays. Like
a fancy palace behind you there.
Literally, it was an old green wall yesterday, and I said, "Geez, I have to do something with that." And honest to God, I have three or four pallets out the back, so I'm just going to split them.
Yeah, it looks brilliant.
Do you know what? Lockdown has done that to me. Other people to banana bread. I went mad on pallets. I made a load of stuff out of it.
Come here to me. There's fellas in the city gallery here selling pallets like that for big money. You could be onto something, Tom.
Pallets by Tom. Jesus Christ. You'd want to be like, but her one, she goes, I guarantee you will come down. You'll have the strongest tip accent again when you go. Because if I'm 2 minutes on the phone to the outlet, she'll have known that I've been on to the outfit. She went, well, how's Bill keeping? I went, how'd you know? Because all of a sudden you go, well, how was it going?
Well, how's things?
Well, how's things? Yeah.
Yeah, I used to get that when I used to come down to Limerick first. Yeah, as a young fella, I'd be like, well, and they all go, water. And I was like, what? What's that water thing? And they all roar and laugh and think it's funny. It is a real Tipperary thing, isn't it? Well,
yeah. Because even my grandfather to this day, and he's 99 years of age, he's originally from Ballylanders in Limerick. Limerick. But they wouldn't say well. And when he moved into Bancha, and he bought a farm there, he couldn't for the first 20 years, even still to this day, he turned around and go, I don't get the well thing. It's just, it doesn't say, I said, you're only from 15 miles back the road originally. Jeez, relax with you. Like, but it may be another planet.
That's funny.
Do you know, but I don't know, are you of the ilk? I had Dennis Leamy on the podcast one day, and I put it to him, I says, do you reckon, because people do say that tip people are mad, and he went, I said, do you know what, when I joined Munster first, he says, I thought they were being racist towards me or something. He says, do you know what they were saying, tip fellas are mad? And then I started to look around, I went, oh, maybe.
No, he was playing with Alan Quinlan.
Yeah.
Quinny's completely mad.
Mental. Yeah.
I know, but I suppose there is a kind of there's a spark of madness. I know Nicky English and a few more lads. Nicky'd be fairly mad. Joe Hayes, character. You know what I mean? Absolute character. There is a bit of madness there, all right. A bit of crack, spark or something.
Yeah. Because Paul Collins backed it up. He went, no, absolutely. He says,
He's mad as well.
Yeah, now have we just answered the question there? Like,
and where's Collins from? Is he South? He's South Tip.
South Tip. He's not Ballybake. No, that's Brendan Cummins. God, where's he from? They had a pub anyway. This is can't remember, but he again.
Gasman,
yeah, stone cracked again, like you know. Yeah. But I put this. I remember I was gigging in Edinburgh one time, and I just popped in to catch the end of a Munster match in a pub after the gig, and there was a Monaghan fella sitting at the bar. He says, "Hey," I said, "Oh, hello." He says, "Hey, is that Tipperary?" And I said, "That is Tipperary, yeah." God, you're mad. Do you know what's going on?
Some of them are. I wouldn't consider myself that mad.
No, but in fairness, but like it kind of leads into, I suppose, where did comedy, like what was the comedy? Was it a savage crack house at home? Because comedy's kind of a currency, isn't it? Like in a lot of places, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I would have always considered lots of other fellas in school funnier than me, people at home funnier than me. You know, I always maintain I got into comedy with John Kenny, and almost learned it as a craft, if you understand what I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
That kind of way. Okay, I would have a way of looking at things that would make it a bit kind of. I was all cynical, I suppose, which is a good trait for a comedian.
Yeah.
You know, you're looking at it different. You're having to crack. You're always looking for the fun in something and not take things too seriously. But then what I learned from being on the road is turning that into the craft of stagecraft, for the want of a better word, and then being able to get across that humor on a stage to people, you know, which is very different. I mean, look, you know as well as I do, anyone will tell you about Ireland. You go into any pub, you'll hear a fella telling a story or a yarn or and you'll just piss yourself laughing. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
But can that guy get up on the stage and do it is a different thing altogether. And that's where the difference is between you and me and people like that, you know. So you kind of always think, gosh, there's a load of lads funnier than me out there. And there is. But what we do is a different thing.
Yeah, you can package it up and put it out the right way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And can you keep it fresh every night for a new audience, like it's brand new for them, like, you know?
Yeah. That is the big thing. I mean, I remember people saying to me, you know, you do sketch comedy, so put stand-ups guys. They're like, Jesus, it's like it comes out of their head every night. And I had a lot
I hate to tell you, folks.
I hate to shatter that illusion. I think they always say that about Eddie Izzard. He's the one comedian that really does is very, very inventive and does come up with stuff off the top of his head.
Yeah.
But it's very, very, very rare. It's very. I don't know if there's too many more than him.
No, and even the likes of Dylan Moran too. I remember being put, and I chatted with Dylan Moran one time. He goes, God no. God, you couldn't. He says you couldn't.
You couldn't.
No, you're doing a run in Edinburgh in 30 nights, like, or whatever. You're going, Jesus Christ Almighty, you'd have a mental breakdown midway, like, if you're trying, you know.
It's true. No, but look, that's the whole thing, telling stories and stand-up comedy and comedy in general. It's just that's why this kind of, the current climate we're in at the moment, and there's a government grant to help out, and some people saying streaming. You just stream the shows, and you're saying for comedy that doesn't work.
No,
it just does not. You cannot do it. And I would imagine it's difficult enough for musicians, but everyone, it's like listening to an album over and over again. If you got your favorite tunes, you can do that, not a bother. But you wouldn't sit down and listen to the same gags or watch it over and over and over. Not a chance of it. So that's kind of creating a bit of a problem for us. And the other thing too much. So like I put a podcast together early this year.
Yeah,
and this is all sketches. And it's difficult to come up with new material.
Oh my God.
Write a whole block of it. Now I'm working on series 2 at the moment, and people are contacting saying, you only did 6 episodes. So you do another. It's like, Jesus, a lot of work to put that together and the characters and all that. So it'll probably be a bit easier putting the second series together in some respects, but it's a huge volume of work coming up with it.
Gee, I mean, how do you, right now with the lockdown, but the time, like, you seem to be just. Jesus, you seem to be like Joe Rogan or something. You seem to have about 17 balls in the air.
Well, I do, and it's exciting and it's great, but it's like you're planning for the years on. I'm working on a new live show at the moment. I'm working on the podcast stuff. I was doing some auditions yesterday for some films and stuff which are coming up in the new year. I do have 2 films coming up in the new year. I have the scripts for them, working closely with the director on one of them, and I just finished a TV series for Amazon and Channel 4, which we just finished in Belfast there recently. So comedy series. So there's a lot going on, which is great.
Yeah.
But you've got to try and manage your time. And people think in the lockdown you're doing nothing, but it's not like that, Well,
you have to change spec too, because it's not like you can go out and have a look at the thing or talk to a fella or sit down normally. Like, everything has changed. Like, isn't it? So you go, right now I've got to channel my time really, really well now at this stage. Like,
you end up being a busy fool.
That's perfect phrase.
And you just end up doing loads of work and stuff, for absolutely nothing. And that's what really bugged me at the start of this thing. I got contacted by a good few charities and stuff. One charity said to me, "Sure, look, there's a lot of content makers out there doing nothing. They'd surely be delighted to do something." And you're going, did you really say that?
Yeah.
I mean, like, to be doing something. Anyway, that's another argument. I won't get stuck in that.
No, but the whole the comedy thing was like, when you look back through your body of work, my good Jesus, you have some amount done. But there was at no point, like, everybody ebbs and flows nearly as a national treasure or whatever to go. But anybody you've ever talked to has always loved Pat Shortt, and I think it's something to do with the fact that there seems to be a genuine era. You never get wanky about it, for the want of a better phrase. Like, even though you're doing these epic things, you seem to normalize it for people in interviews going, on Broadway. You're like, what? Stop 1 second. What?
But it's work. I mean, it is. I remember doing Broadway. You mentioned it there. And we were the most nominated show for the Tony Awards. And,
Stop.
We were working with Daniel Radcliffe. So we're all being interviewed and on the run up to the Tonys. And just was like, parties were being invited to with serious heads and stuff in New York, rooftop parties and cameras. And I was out doing interviews with all sorts of CNNs and everything else on the street outside the theater because we were the most nominated, not because they knew who I was, but anyway, that so on and so forth. And then once the awards are over, nothing. Trudging down to the theater every night, the kind of crack went out of it. And then it was a bloody job. And then I had 3 months to go before I went home after this, and there was no more parties, no more invited to anything. We didn't win a Tony. And suddenly you're going, oh, Jesus, I want to go home now.
Why do you put this at the end, you fuckers?
You're 3 months ahead of you. Like we Clint Eastwood introducing us and stuff like that. You know, it was like huge. And we all had tickets to the Tonys, which are like gold, like, and anybody was at it. So it was a huge excitement and everything, but I do remember that bump the next day all over, trudging in, and it is work. I mean, you have to really, it was intensive, 8 shows a week, you know.
Lord.
Yeah, really hard going. Your day off was literally throw yourself down and try and recover after the week. And off you went again, you know. So it was hard going. I mean,
you'd have to look after yourself during something like that too, though, wouldn't you?
Yeah. We were doing a play. I can only imagine what it's like for the dancers and in the musicals. Like, Jesus, that's physical.
I don't know how. Like,
I don't know how they do it. I mean, I found it tough. I found it very. I was asked, I was asked to offer the contract of a year to come back out and do another Broadway show, and I just said no way. No. I take my chances at home in Tipperary.
You're grand. I'll start the podcast, lads. It's fine. Yeah, because I knew a fella. He was a dancer with Cats. He was on Cats, and I mean, he was a specimen of him. You know what I mean? He was in unbelievable nick. He looked nearly like a rugby flank or what. You know, he just was built like a god. This lad. And this will tell you my naivety. I'd never been in it. I'd done a little bit to tell you but I'd never been in it. And I remember sitting beside him one day and I was looking at the size of his calves. I went, Jesus Christ, John, you've some size. And he's originally from Limerick. And I never saw him out of character because he was playing Beast. And he says, you must have played a bit of rugby or hurling back in the day or something. And I swear to God, he says, Jesus, no chicken. Sure, it's all the dancing. And just went back to like real. I don't know what way to look. I felt like such a knob.
The dancers are as fit, unbelievable.
But minding him, like he was in his 30s now, and every evening he'd actually be giving the legs a rub down, and for his voice he'd defaced over the steam and yoke, and oh Lord save us, he was like an athlete, like.
Yeah, well they are. There's no question of it, you know. But you want to be cut out for it.
Yeah, did I freeze up there for a second?
You did, Tom, but you look lovely.
Thank you. Oh,
you look very deep and taut.
That has never happened to me. Anytime I've ever frozen before, I'm always like about to have a stroke or something.
Yeah.
Because but even talk with people that you would come from the most random places. Like I did a TV show years ago called Damo and Ivor, and that would not have come about only for Pat Shortt. It was so random. Yeah, Andy that wrote it, he says, I wouldn't have even conceived, because his father's originally Andy's from Foxrock, you know, he lives the D4 lifestyle, right. But his father is from 2 Mile Boroughs originally, and may as well still be from 2 Mile Boroughs. But he said, there's all that, but he could do every line you would ever put out there, ever. And he went only for the character, the characters.
Andy, yeah, he's great. He's lovely. Yeah. He's a great guy himself. I love Damon Ivor. It's a great show. He does the characters so well. It's brilliant. But it's funny. I met him all right, and he's heavily influenced by obviously where his dad is from, you know, which is great.
And how well he can do the accent as well. There's times when he's like, hi, and you'll go, Jesus Christ Almighty, you know, it just he nails it, like, you know.
Yeah.
But because
it must be good fun.
Oh Lord, say, like, it was, again, I was so naive to it. I just showed up and they went, right, everything is, and I didn't realize, because there was good money put into this. I thought, well, this must be the way everything is filmed, is it, lads? I said, no, this is not how it's done all the time. Rick Mail doesn't just walk around the corner smoking a fag going, hello, darling. You're like, oh, how are you, Rick? You know, just, it's cool, you know. Yeah. So, but yeah, it was really, really fast. They had to get it done very, very quickly. So it didn't have any of those lethargic moments. You know, there was no sitting down, hardly at all. Like, it was just felt like one long sketch. It was just rapid the way it turned around. You know what I mean? So it was right good crack making that, especially the fact that I played a D4 wanker in it, basically, you know. So, and the disappointment when you meet people then who are actually from Dublin 4 and they go, are you not, and you go, no, I'm from Tipperary, sorry, you know, and there's This did that come up unstable again, Pat? No, is it all right?
No, it seems fine, Tom.
No, that's grand. No, just fucking blowing an absolute hurricane outside there. But you like tell me about the straight, because this nearly interests me, not more, but just fucking fascinates me, is that you went from being this, you've done iconic amounts of comedy throughout Ireland, and then you pop up showing in straight roles. Was that something you went after, or did somebody put it to you?
Well, it's something I always had an interest in doing. Obviously I hadn't gotten any auditions or calls. I'd done one film early on, which was straight enough role, actually. It was Angela Mooney Dies Again. It was Mia Farrow, myself, Brendan Gleeson, and Patrick Bergen. That was years ago. What happened with Garage, I suppose, was the big straight role one for me. And I had worked with Lenny Abramson on a few projects before, and we knew each other, and he always had me in mind for that role. And it was a very, very serious role, beautifully written by Mark O'Halloran, who's won IFTAs for many of his films and projects, and they'd done Adam and Paul prior to me doing that, so I was well conscious of what they were about.
Yeah.
And Adam and Paul was just an incredible film. So I thought, geez, if they're doing stuff like that, you're in good hands. So I was delighted to be part of it, and then it became the film it is that everyone knows about now. It's a huge success. Became the biggest art house film in the world that year, and we were in Cannes with it and all over the world. So it was great. And after that, then I got, like, John Boorman asked me to do a film with him and various other people. So I was lucky then. I got to work with some amazing directors after that, And
that's class then, because then you're able to straddle both sides of the fence. So you can pop back over whenever you want, like.
Yeah. And I got to, I'd already worked with Martin McDonagh prior to that, but got to work on stage and got to work with his brother John then on Guard and Calvary as well. So John Michael McDonagh. So yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, it opened doors for me. Directors looking at me in America and London, so which was great.
It's the success of Killinascully, like, as well. Then you can step back over to Killinascully. Did you know, obviously, and did you go, well, I slightly abbreviate Killascully, or is that just me thinking?
No, what happened was we filmed in the town of Killascully.
All right, okay.
In the village of Killascully, we filmed, and we wanted to call the show Kill O'Scully. But the legal people in RT were afraid if we did that, people might think we were plagiarizing them or somebody, and it could be legal issues down the road. So we called it Killinascully.
Yeah, you don't want that Borat issue, where he's getting sued by it.
They've now taken him on board. But so that's how the name came about, Killinascully. We love, and it was a beautiful place, part of Tipperary, to shoot in Killascully, up in the Silver Mines and Ballynahinch, all around that area.
Oh, beautiful.
Stunning scenery and everything. So, and it was one thing we always thought when we were shooting and looking for a location for Killinascully was that it's very much kind of a New York thing, where they say, for production value, if you've got amazing scenery, use it. And it's
right, yeah.
It's there. It's all around you. In a sense, it's cheap. New York, you have to pay for it now. But we were in a beautiful place like the Silver Mines, Hill there, Keeper Hill, and all that. So we're able to use the woods, the scenery, beautiful shots from up the hills. It's just gorgeous part of the world, So we were blessed with that, and it was great fun. I loved making it. It was a great show. I'm very, very proud of it. It's getting a huge run out again now. And a huge amount of more fans even coming to it. Like we've had huge viewership with it down through the years. But it's a pre-watershed program. I mean, it's designed for families and kids and everything else like that. And it's great fun. It's really, really good.
I like the way it treaded the perfect line of not being too slapstick, but there was definite deep comedy in it too. Like, you know what I mean? There was deep comedy. Like,
there is an elements of slapstick in it and clowning, as I'd call it, because that's kind of the background of where I come from. I played multi-characters, for example, in it. I played 5 characters. I never actually set out to do that. That was by accident. I played 1 or 2 characters, and in the pilot, a few actors that we had booked never turned up, and we couldn't get them in. So I ended up jumping into costume for 1 or 2 characters, literally at the last minute. And Gretty came about from a camera.
Yes, Gretty.
I know, people love that character.
I love it
because I had to get into women's clothing every. It was a huge makeup, but I literally one thing we're known for now is power walking. you know. So we had a transition shot outside the pub, moving from one place to another. And I said, look, why don't we just do set of co-workers and follow us through as a comic kind of transition thing with the director. So we literally grabbed 2 women in the extras, and I got them into leisure suits and myself, and I just walked past Dieter going, yoo-hoo, or something like that. And it was just to be a transition shot, and RT loved it. And they said, look, we'd really love to have that character in more. So that's how Gretty came about. And
it still cracks me up. Just her.
Yeah.
Because you know her, like, you know.
Yeah. You do. And the thing is, like, to get my voice going, I also have to go, it was kind of, I'd start nearly every line like that to get me in, you know. So it was, oh Jesus, it was. There's some funny stuff with her. There's no question of it, but it was physically painful.
I imagine Gretty was a fine bit of stuff back in her day. You know, that kind of way, like
she'd put manners on you.
Wouldn't that the thing? There's Gretty. The Gretty. She's actually passed away to misfortune, but she came out of the line one time and embarrassed the life out of me. I was only 18. I was back from college for a weekend, and the father and mother said, "Should we meet you up at the Tatch?" There was a Tatch bar at the time up near us, and I said, "Sure, we'll meet you for a drink." And I went in, and she comes over, and she'd had a few, and she's an old fag hanging out of the corner of her mouth. She starts squeezing my shoulders, chatting over my head, and I don't know what to do. I'm 18. I says, "Oh, how you married?" She says, "Oh, I tell you one thing now, aren't you after growing into a fine looking boy?" And I'm like, "Oh, Jesus Christ!" It's just the father jokingly says, she goes, "Just if I was only 20 years younger." I'm going, "Oh Lord!" And the father thinking he was gassing, "Oh, hi, the two of you now. If you're stepping out, he's not ready to be. I'm not ready to be a grandfather just yet," kind of a thing. And I'm dying. And Pat, the phrase, and I need to put in a t-shirt, but only a handful of people will understand. She turns around and winks at my old lad, and the mid-50s woman went, "I wouldn't worry about that, Pat. Or Bill, you can't weld cowled iron. In other you can't weld cowled iron."
That's brilliant.
To this day, if I even just start the words cowled iron to the old lad, he's gone for 20 minutes. He's gone.
But I love those phrases. There was a guy up the road from us, and he was, the boys, you know, young fellas in the street be always slagging some fella. I won't mention the name because he could be still there. But let's say it's Jerry. And I'm Jerry, you whore. As quick as that, he turns around and says, "If I was a whore, you'd be the first ones up with your shillings." I nearly fell off the wall laughing and off with him like a shot.
Beautiful. Just brilliant. Shot out the back door there. I love that stuff. Like, and not, do you know, not realizing we're going to carry that and log that for 20 years later, going, that is a moment of beauty. Like,
it's brilliant.
Because I wouldn't be forgiven if I didn't mention too the mother. She's still, well, she was at one of your shows years ago, and you were talking about a Eucharistic minister called Mary Mahoney that was peeking her nose up at the altar, and of course the whole banjo crew were in there with the mother, and Mary Mahoney being her name, and what was she at the time? Only a Eucharistic minister.
Oh, stop!
But secretly she was loving it, like, you know what I mean?
Know.
Like, but the rest of it was in UCH, but they were way up the back, of course, thank God, because no doubt you would have been up to her going, "There you are, Mary."
Well, that happens, you know, because you just use a name, and sure, many Mary Mahoney's word, Alice Ryan, or you know, and Dwyer, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And you use a name, and I used to be desperate for that when I'd be doing a show or writing a show. I'd use names that I remember as a kid. So Sister Bonaventure, something like that. Well, I remember there was this thing with Sister Bonaventure I had, and sure, Sister Bonaventure taught me in school, you know, as a kid.
Right.
So I was trying to look for a name of a nun that would be, you know, like Sister Conceal.
Brilliant. You know,
Bonaventure came. I thought that's a great name. Jesus. About 6 months later, I was doing the show in Thurles, and I went, Sister Bonaventure. The whole audience, and I went, oh.
Caught rotten.
They know her. Of course they know her. And again, the sketch had nothing to do with her. She was long dead. But the whole town remembered her as she must have been the head nun in the convent, a lovely lady, you know. But whatever I had heard the story of Sister Bonaventure or something, looking for Mickeys or something. It was all wrong anyway, Tom, I can tell you that.
I know, yeah, I did something similar, but I combined like 3 characters in a bit I was doing about teachers, and it was fairly new, and I was happy with it, and it was flying it, and I opened for Neil Delamere in a gig we did in Bancha, in the GA Hall in Bancha one night, and I was too naive, and
of course your material is written and you're focused on that, you don't think.
And sure, 99% of the audience knew exactly who I was talking about. And even I looked down at the father, and the father was the only fella in the middle of the audience roaring laughing, because he also knew the scenario. Like, he went, you made some bollocks of yourself now, and you've still got 20 minutes to go.
How is he going to get out of this one?
Oh Lord. Well, but I mean, that is the beauty of it, isn't it? Like, that you just, you got to own it in that moment and go, well,
plow on. I didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything. Just rabbit in the headlamps.
But that must be glorious, though. Do you know what I mean? When to have created these characters, you said, right, this is the character, built, costume, everything, and then you personally, it's all you, and then you walk out, say, just for, I know we've mentioned it about 45 times now, UCH, they'll be paying this podcast at this stage, but you walk out to a full house and people are in it straight away with you. You know what I mean? That must be glorious.
It's great. I mean, I always, like, a lot of my shows, quite a lot of physical humor in it and interaction with the audience. So you never know how that's going to work out. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Do it because you can't rehearse. You haven't got an audience to rehearse with.
Yeah.
I do remember the show I did about the funeral, and I had a coffin with me, and I used to bring 6 guys up on the stage, or 4 guys. They had no idea what they were doing there. And then I was in the black suit, the Undertaker, organising everything.
Yeah.
And eventually get lads over here. I stand there, and then I pull off the drape, and there's a coffin there, and they go, oh, Jesus. And they up on their shoulders and walk out. Like, it was brilliant. And it was amazing people's reaction to a coffin in the theatre. Like, oh, it was like,
yeah.
Like, I remember we were doing Kill the Scully. I used to have a hearse, and I got it off a friend of mine who was an undertaker down the country, and he was too old for it. So it was an old Granada hearse. There's nothing wrong with it. I often went down drinking with a few lads. We'd pile into the hearse in suits. I pulled up in a garage one day up the road. It's a kind of a pub with a pump outside it. Coming up to the office, and I was heading out to set. It used to be Jaxie's hearse in Kill the Scully. And the woman had came out, the old one came out to fill the pump. How much will I put in it? And I was sorry, what'll I put in it? As if there was something sacred about a car, I said, fill it up. That was brilliant. Another time we went to look at a location in we were doing a scene in the church, and I happened to be driving the hearse back from the office. And I parked outside the church and went in. Yeah. We did the location. The recce looked at where we put the cameras up, and then I took off. And that evening, I went down for a pint. And someone, who's dead, lads? There was a hearse. And there's no account of it. Are they coming back tonight, or is it tomorrow morning? And the whole village was talking about who had died.
I love the notion, Pat Shortt driving around the country with the elbow out the window. Out of Granada Scorpio.
I tried to bring my wife out for dinner and one night. She nearly killed me.
Oh, stop.
That'd be great crack.
I looked for one. I remember a couple of years ago, I went through a mad period. I mean, wouldn't it be funny now to drive around the hearse around the place? Like, we just fitted with, black out the windows, whatever, but couldn't find one for love nor money. But the last one, Pat Shortt had bought it.
I gave it away to a friend of mine up in Galway. I had it for a few years, and the kids got sick of it around the back of the house. His friends coming into play, and there's a hearse parked out the side.
But there's so many irreverent things you would do in such a situation, like, but that's the beauty of it, is that, man, you play with a hearse and a coffin and all the
great crack with it, like, I had to drive from New York to Boston with the coffin in the back of the car. We'd pull in, we had to rent a car big enough to drive up, myself and the sound engineer. We finished the run in New York with the show, and we got a coffin over there, and we held on to it for the tour. We drive up, stopping off for a coffee in the places in the hearse with the coffin sticking out the back of the car.
Keeping a couple of sandwiches cold. It's great.
Oh, it's funny.
I think like Gretty, still to this day, I love the cheers, they're letting them out of school early. I love that, just little throwaway, beautiful little lines. You're going, oh, that is just lovely. But I don't know, did he make it into one of your, was it Hey or How's Things? It was Eugene. You brought him out on the Late. I thought he was a masterpiece. Like, there was so many facets to you. Do you remember he had the dog shit in his pocket?
Oh yes. I was thinking it was that character. Yes, he was a few drinks on him. Drinks, the rest are in them, and he was running the local theatre, and that's right. And he was he was a great character. But it was actually just tidy up the place. He was insistent. This is the people tidy up after themselves. That was a great gag. The amount of people I used to bar of Twix in the dog poo bag.
Yeah,
and I used to softly melt it on a radiator before every show.
Beautiful.
It was just a little bit smudgy.
Start to Pat's rider. Could you have a slightly warm red in the room, please? I need to melt my Twix.
And a half a Twix. And he used to, I used to pull it out every night. Oh my God. The amount of people that used to go crazy because they thought I was giving them real shit. What would you be thinking, you know?
Where did I even go looking for it beforehand?
Yeah. Bring a dog with me, little Jack Russell there, and feed him up.
Which is the breed, like your man on the night at the late, he was great for it, like, and you could see him, like, he was allowing it to, but you could see somebody clamming up, like going, oh my God, this is all too much for me in the moment. The actual, their characters stepping out of the telly on top of me here, like.
Oh yeah, I love that late show appearance. That's one of my favorite actually, because I was thinking the character's a bit drunk. So I thought, how will I do? So I asked the makeup artist, which you give me a big black smudge across the face. So he looked like he was after falling into a ditch.
Yeah. That's what made it perfect, is that he looked like the owl, they call him in rugby, Alacadoos. He knows too much. He's the fucking blazer on, and he's skipping around the room like he knows the whole place. And obviously because, he was, of the theatre, there was a touch of campness to him, so he's nice and quick around the place. I just thought he was a masterpiece. I'm going, I know 40 whores like that for that.
And with the crest on the blazer.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Probably the old crest too. It's probably been upgraded since the 2000s, but he still has the old jacket. Do you know what I mean?
The blazer be shiny.
Yeah.
Been ironed.
Yeah. Did you get much much guff, because you have never? Sometimes you find fellas that a certain amount of fame, you never know where they're even from. Do you know? There's no identity to them, like. But there's no mistaking where Pat Shortt has ever been from. You've always kind of backed the whole Tipperary thing, and even down to making sketches about ripping the absolute piss out of Kilkenny, like.
Funny enough, I was up doing some work in the studio in Dublin this weekend. The sound engineer is Kilkenny, and he loved the Jersey one. You know the one I'm talking about?
With the Skoda?
With the dogs. Well, he liked the Skoda one with the dogs. I got an awful doing over that one, but it's a bit of crack like that's. For people that wouldn't remember or seen it, it's the one where I picked up a dog shit with a Kilkenny jersey. Sure, I didn't pick up a shit. I didn't pick up anything. I went through the actions of it. And
it wasn't a warm Twix by any chance, was it? Just
What I'd love if people saw it. I got a huge response, a very funny response from a lot of Kilkenny people. And there was one woman sent me where she was sitting on the toilet, and the toilet paper was Tipperary bunting. I thought that was hilarious.
Touché. That is brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Classic one.
Because sometimes, people sometimes step outside the word and they forget, oh wait, it's Pat Shortt, the comedian. Do you know?
It's
they can take. But there must have been, I'd say probably the most used, not I suppose used, but the most frequent costume every single Halloween that I've ever been out or ever been at anything is somebody you've played. Typically, it's the hand, like they go, well, everybody knows, and it's quite often it's Tom from Father Ted.
Oh yeah,
What was the direction on Tom from Father Ted, or was it just, Pat, we're going to leave this to you here?
Kind of a bit of that. I auditioned for it, and I remember doing the audition, and they all rolled around laughing, Arthur and Graham and the director and everybody, and they just gave me the job, and they said, yeah, that's the voice, everything, you had it spot on. It was that kind of mad. And what it was I was working with a director from Monaghan at the time, and he had a I love them on an accent. It's great. Really very, very funny and smart. And funny people up there. And I loved his accent. And I gave it with a bit of Tipperary and a bit of roughness, and I kind of mixed it all up. And it came across like this mad, how are you fathers? You leave me all down to that tree. You know what I mean? It kind of came out like that. And they loved it. And then they just like shaved the head and cut him up and made him look like a lunatic. And the I Shot JR t-shirt was iconic. I mean, I did a tour of Australia, and every city I was in, Melbourne, Sydney, everywhere, I had to do radio shows, promotion for the show and stuff like that. And every one of them presented me with an I Shot JR t-shirt. I had about 10 of them coming back from Australia.
Oh, thanks, lads.
Thanks, another one. And everyone asked me, like, did I ever get to hang on to it? And Father Ted wasn't huge when I did it.
Yeah.
First year was very small, and then we did series 2, and it caught on after series 2 in a big way.
Yeah.
And I wasn't in series 3. I didn't make that at all, or the Christmas special. I just did, I think it was 3 episodes of 1 and 3 episodes of 2. So I never experienced the kind of manicness of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It didn't really catch on till afterwards.
It's funny you talk about that accent. You just reminded me of a thing I was doing with an events company. They do these Oscars, they call it, with GA clubs. Do you know, they make shortened versions of Kevin Rowe and shortened versions of movies. And they wanted to do Man About Dog. And it's a 10-minute version, And I said, Grant, I'll make a short script feat, no bother at all. And this is above in Cavan. And it got the lad that had been picked to play you. He was brilliant. And he was reading the script and he went, hey, I can't do your accent because he sounds like you. Can you tell me how to sound Tipperary? I went, you don't need to sound Tipperary, man. You're already, go on, do the line. Do the line. He went, I don't know. I think it's funny you're in your accent. I'm going, Jesus Christ, man, just say the line. And he turns around and goes, just them boys, them balls on them like Bengali tigers. And that was it for me for the rest of the night, because I can't even look at you. Do not, your accent, you just nailed it. You don't realize how funny we find your accent, to be honest with you. How are you holding for time, Pat? I don't want to hold you up either. I know you have to go on.
I've about 10 minutes left because I have another project to do. I have a researcher to talk to there on Ray Darcy. I'm on with Amy Hoobman on Friday.
Mighty.
Talking to Ray Darcy. I'm in the last episode of Finding Joy. So talking about that, but it's so long ago I can't remember what it's about. I'm hoping someone will tell me.
You'll just be making up bits. Well, there was this time.
Yeah. It was Joy. I never forget the same day was the Joy. That's the best I can do.
Yeah, but I had a blue shirt on. There was but you like you'd said the time of the Tony Awards and all the rest of it like that, there must be kind of pinch yourselves moment. But it popped up, I don't know, is it relatively recently or whatever, but I only caught a glimpse of it that you asked to play Jumbo Breakfast Roll for Prince Albert.
Yeah. I was mentioned, yes. Yes and no. What happened was I won an award at the Monaco Film Festival.
Yeah.
And you see, the film awards there is different than what we'd be used to. We'd be used to the Academy Awards, IFTA Awards. You go up and thank your mother and your father and your agent and all the rest, right? Whereas they have more of a Las Vegas type, Monte Carlo with the casinos there.
Yeah.
So it's a big, huge show. Like the host and hostess came on in a big open top car, huge stage, and massive theater, and they had a full orchestra on the stage as well. And the different sets and dancers came out and did routine. It was like a big Las Vegas show.
The Rosa Trinity.
So, yeah. So when it came to me, when the award up I came, and of course they asked actors to sing songs that they'd sung, and the orchestra backed them, and they heard about the breakfast roll, and they asked me would I sing the breakfast roll with an orchestra, and I was going, no. Go on, sing. They obviously had already prepared and everything. I fucking not. No, I'm not singing the fucking breakfast. So I'd like to thank me agent. I'd like to thank me father. I'd like to thank
my hurling coach under 12s.
Yeah. So when the award ceremony finished, at the very end, they asked all the recipients recipients of the awards to come up on stage for a photo. And Prince Albert, I was after receiving an award for his mother, a posthumous award for Grace Kelly.
Yes.
And see, he was on the stage and he beckoned for me to come over. So I came over, I stood beside him, and he was like, and I think it was the Irish Connection and all the rest. He was chatting away to me, and he says, "What song why didn't you sing the song?" I says, I don't know. I wasn't in the mood for singing.
It's about sandwiches. Truth be told, it's about sandwiches.
Thousands of rashers and builders. And I said, all right. And he said, sure, look, would you sing it? So you sing it for me at the table later on at the dinner. I said, well, of course. No, Jez, don't worry about that. I'll be singing it over. Yeah. So, like, Monte Carlo, I don't know if anyone ever been there. It's all French and Italian is the main languages. I had an interpreter assigned to me, but he went missing. I couldn't find him. And we were supposed to go to this dinner down at afterwards, a big banquet. And I've been traveling since 6 a.m. I'm up from Cork I was in Cork the night before, and I found out I got the award. I had to get to Limerick, pick up my wife, then to Dublin to get a flight out, get the kids sorted with their mothers, grandmothers, and then land in Marseille, and then go travel across. We're traveling all day. Then I had to do a big press call because I'd won the big award of the night, the best actor. So I had to jump into tuxedo, get down to the theatre early, and then do a load of photographs. I actually fell asleep in the theatre. We were brought in, we were on my wife on my own, and I got this nudge from my wife as a camera was moving along, tracing along in front of me. It was all live television. And suddenly there's thousands of people in the theatre. I was like, Jesus Christ. I was really disorientated and all. And so when the wars was over, I said, look here, I really don't want to go to a dinner, a big banquet dinner.
Yeah.
I said, well, we just grab a bottle of champagne, head back to the room, put the award up, throw the shoes off, order some food up to the room and relax. And we're flying out the next day. So Karen says, yeah, we do that. So we got a car to bring us back. We had a limousine lined up. They didn't think we were supposed to have it. We had to get a taxi because they thought, like, but the dinner's still on and everything. I was there with the award, saying, no, I got my award. I want to go home, back to the hotel. So I saw, here, taxi, jumped in it, back to the hotel. I was in the hotel about 10 minutes in the room, and the phone rang, and it was the interpreter guy, and he said, Prince Albert's looking for you at the table to sing. Oh, Jesus. And I said, another time I catch up with him again. Would you believe I was out the following year? I was nominated for the television awards, and he was at the dinner, and I was hiding from him all night. I don't think he'd remember me, but I didn't want to go sing it. He was at the table only up for me.
Oh God, isn't that gas? Like how we can't, like, that song made perfect sense to the entire island of Ireland. But as soon as you go anywhere, you go, I just couldn't. I'd have to explain the nuances.
It was very much of the time.
Oh,
which most pop songs or any song is, and it was a comedy tune. But I wrote that song for a character in a show. I didn't write that as a single.
Was that Dixie's?
Yeah, and he was a builder in the show, the character. And I knew lots of builders. I knew lots of fellas that play music at nighttime in pubs, but they're a builder during the day. Loads of them. And of course, that time with the boom on, loads of guys doing that.
I was building myself at the time, doing comedy at night, like, and going,
there you go.
This is our thing. And the fact that you drop in emo as a petrol station, you couldn't have been more niche to drop in an emo. Like,
I like, it was written for the show, and I did it on the Late Late Show as a promotion, for the show, not for any other reason, but it just literally took off. And Ruth Scott, the 2FM DJ, she was the one that championed it the next day, and it just went. It was pre-internet going viral. It went viral, if you know what I mean. So Sony contacted me. I was a Sony artist at the time, and they contacted me, says, look, we need to get this done. We need to get this out. They're looking for the radio stations around it and everything else. So to get something turned around that quick was nearly impossible. So we got it done in Germany and got it printed back in the shops in Ireland, and it was the biggest selling single of all time in Ireland.
Isn't that gorgeous? Isn't it?
Mad, yeah.
No intentions of making it. Like, brilliant. Because I sang it in Vegas at a karaoke.
Go away.
I like some bollocks. I mean, I did. Not that I gave a shite, but what was hilarious, if you stood back and looked at the scenario, I didn't realize the same bar was playing whoever was singing out on the street. They were playing it out onto the street. Celine Dion was in the Wynn across the way. Garth Brooks was next door in the Bellagio. Johnny and what's her name were next door again. And this who were singing about rashers. And a couple of It was like the calling card to every Irish person within 100 yards. We're like, oh, shit, we better go look. And people wandering in. I'm steaming, of course, like full of warm cider, like just looking down it.
Brilliant. I was asked to sing it I was on a radio show in Amman in Jordan.
Brilliant.
And they asked me to sing it down there, and I was like, no, they're all with the turban.
I love that.
I said, lads, it's all about pork products. Straight away. That's it. That's fine. No problem. Moving on.
The tea is about the only thing in this I can mention.
Absolutely.
Pat Shortt, I've taken up enough of your time. Thank you very, very much for being on. This has been glorious.
Tom, it's been great.
I know it's fucking. At some stage, I'll come. I think you owe me the price of 2 tickets, by the way.
Well, we can organise that when things open up again.
Only because one of the times in UCH, I was my tip accent must have come on so strong. While in the panto, 2 women come out and went, "Jesse sounds very like Pat Shortt, doesn't he? We'll get you." And there was huge Pat Shortt poster in the perfect place right beside the ticket counter. It's like, we'll get 2 to him. And they came down and said it to me because you sounded so like Pat Shortt during that show. Like 2 women come out and bought 2 tickets. I went, right, well, I'll say it to Pat the next time I see him. So,
hey, Tom, it was lovely talking to you.
Thank you very, very much, Pat.
Thank you.
Mind yourself. Good luck.
Good luck. Mind yourself.